Dakar, the capital of Senegal and a magnet for all of West Africa. 2.5 million inhabitants live in the greater metropolitan area. Big waves, warm water, all year round. Surfers consider the Atlantic coast off Dakar an insider's tip. Early in the morning, Hadiata Samb starts her working day on one of the city's beaches. Those who know her just call her Hadju. She started surfing when she was 18.
It's hard, surfing as a woman. It creates problems in the family. A Senegalese woman that surfs is unusual, unprecedented, and a black woman surfing is doubly unusual.
So far, Hadju is the only female surfing instructor in Senegal. One of the oldest neighborhoods in Dakar is Goree. This is Hadju's home. People make a living from fishing and a few from tourism. To earn a living from surfing is something the local children can only dream of. Hadju teaches them in her spare time. The sea is a dangerous place. There are rocks and strong currents. Hadju is explaining how to recognize a good wave and the best way to get on it.
At some point, I realized there are no black children that surf. We are all neighbors from the same district. If I teach the kids about surfing, they might have a better chance of getting a job, and perhaps they can compete professionally.
Hadju would like to train more boys in her neighborhood, but she doesn't have enough equipment.
The boards, the suits, it all comes from Europe. It's difficult to get the gear, very difficult. Luckily, some people give me their used stuff when they get new gear.
A friend takes them to the edge of the bay, where the waves are breaking.
I love surfing. There's nothing else for me. I've tried other sports, like kayaking and volleyball, but my heart is in surfing.
The boys from Goree learn to swim by themselves, but surfing in the sea on their doorstep, that's new. Hadju hopes to inspire a few girls from her neighborhood to take up surfing. The graffiti artist Matsu has places to go. Early in the morning, before it gets too hot, he wants to get to a turnoff by the city highway. He's taking a Car Rapide. The ride costs about 12 cents, a price the street artists in Dakar can afford. It's good that sometimes people hire us to do a wall, but usually we go out and find a suitable, clean place. Now I'm in the Cambaren quarter. Let's see how it goes. Everyday scenes, tags and repeated political messages give the washed concrete some colour. A few years ago, Matsu founded a spray collective. Today, there are 12 of them. In the cities of Europe and America, spray artists often work in disguise. Not in Dakar. I'd say we can be relaxed in Dakar. We can spray in broad daylight without getting into trouble. Our problem is more trying to find people that will support our art. We're self-financed, each for themselves and the collective. That unites us and creates a dynamic. Dakar's my city. I was born here, grew up here, and have always lived here. In Dakar, I'm an established artist, so this city is my universe. I love Dakar, the mix of ethnicities, everyone lives together. Muslims alongside Christians. Nothing is smooth here, there's no stereotypes. The sprayers work around Matsu for 8 hours in the heat, noise and dust, giving Dakar a little more colour, at least around the city highway. It's especially for Friday prayers that Senegal shows itself as an Islamic country. On these days, the central mosque is too small to harbour all the believers. The people practice a soft, relaxed and Sufism-influenced Islam. Dakar was founded in the mid-19th century. In 1902, the city became the administrative centre for French West Africa. Since independence in 1960, the traces of colonialism gradually faded in Senegal. Today, Senegal is a confident African metropolis. Dakar is considered the centre for fashion in West Africa. Goree Ardo sells her pieces in her own boutique in the centre of town. She works in a small studio very close by.
Working for a collection started with sketches like this. I choose a few and draw those properly. Then I do the cutting pattern, and in the end, there's a sample dress. These materials are hand-woven from silk and cotton. These pieces take a long time to make. I am attached to them. They are 100% Senegal. I am proud of that, working with these materials. Well, I can't make large amounts of them. For that, I need simpler material, so my fashion house can survive.
Many who have made a name for themselves in African fashion come from Dakar. Goree Ardo has shown her work in Paris.
Here I am working on a top that still needs to be embroidered. My new collection won't just be made from these materials and cuts. Altogether, there will be 100 pieces. The men and women in Dakar are elegant. If you see someone walking, you immediately think, if I made a design for this person, what would it look like? It is easy to dress the Senegalese men and women.
Senegal exports 40,000 tons of raw cotton every year. It's no longer processed here. The materials for sale in the markets in Dakar mainly come from China. Even the cloth for the moussour, the traditional headwear for Senegalese women. Cheap and cheerful has almost destroyed the Senegalese textile industry. The next morning, Goree's new collection has its first trial run in a luxury hotel. Many months of work lie between the first sketch and the final piece. This is an important moment for Goree.
This is the first time I am showing them. I am preparing for a fashion show in December, and these are the first models that are ready. This is a top that you can wear with everything. If you want it with trousers, then without the wraparound skirt. With a skirt, it is very African. Yes. I am trying to fuse cultures. The hat replaces our headwear, the moussour. You don't have to train the models here. You look for a woman with a high waist and tell her to go. It has immediate appeal. A real Senegalese woman is very black, very beautiful, and very natural.
In her new collection, Goree is playing with gender roles.
I am very happy. This is what I wanted. These are actually designed for men, and I have made them fashionable for women. This is how we share our culture. And that's good.
There are barely any regular bus routes in Dakar. The most important public transport is the Car Rapide. The buses always go, almost anywhere, and for little money. In his small workshop, Amadou Sow works hard to keep the buses so colourful. Everyone calls him Bill. He studied art in Dakar and discovered his market niche of decorating the small buses when he was a young man. The designs are simple, plants, animals and symbols that everyone can understand. One element can never be missing. The eyes are the most important. Of course, they have to be at the front. They give the Car Rapide its face. They're above the headlights and can be seen from far away. That's why the eyes are so important and are always painted here. Most buses in Senegal have already had a previous life in France, with several 100,000 kilometers behind them. Some have been in service for over 40 years. Some have more than 4 million kilometers under their belt. Now, their days could be numbered. The government wants to start banning the old Car Rapides, but they're a symbol for Senegal. Also, if they remove the car rapides, many will lose their jobs. The buses support mechanics, electricians. It's not just the drivers and their helpers that collect the money. And most importantly, it's a cheap mode of transport. The car rapides are so popular in Senegal because they've been around for a long time. If you want to get rid of them, you have to replace them with something better. A car rapide lasts forever. The motor is always running 24 hours a day, every day of the week. It never makes problems. Something better than a car rapide hasn't been invented. Hundreds of pirogues lie on the beach of Yoff. The neighborhood is completely geared towards fishing. Alioune Sen comes from an old family in Yoff. She belongs to the Lebu people, like everyone on this beach. The women sell what their men catch. With the Lebu, the women run all things related to money. The customer wants to pay 25,000 CFA francs, almost $50 for the box. It's too little for Alioune, but she ends up accepting the customer's offer.
The sea is what makes us special. Not everyone has that. The countries without the sea are not doing so well. Everything we have, our houses, come from the sea. The fishermen are always Lebu. Our ancestors went out to sea and were farmers. But the land is gone. So today, the Lebu people are only fishermen. Fishing is in our blood. It's what we know.
The Yoff fish market is the biggest in Dakar. Alioune's family lives close to the beach. The large family lives in the one house. 4 generations, almost 80 people share the 3 stories and courtyard. Lebu women take care of everything to do with the family and are considered to be very confident.
If your husband lets you work, it means he trusts you. That is very important in our tradition as Lebu women. We stand up for ourselves, rely on ourselves, and we are very proud. If you have no respect for yourself, others will not have any respect for you.
Late in the evening, the women of the neighborhood have gathered together as one of them has invited them to the sabar. There is no tradition as typical and quintessentially Senegalese as the sabar. The word describes the drum, and the women make the sabar an event. They dance acrobatic dances that rarely last longer than a minute. The dance technique is highly complex, the performance important to win recognition in the community. The Corniche is one of the main traffic axes and connects the neighborhoods in northwest Dakar. It is lined by long sandy beaches, which fill up in the afternoons as soon as it gets cooler. At this time of day, Abdou Aziz Sako also comes to the Corniche. His fighting name is 2 Giga. I have a competition soon, so I'm training here. No matter how much I've already done, I have to do more now. I train every day in the morning and the evening. The beach is the best place to prepare. Dojiga lives in the Parcelle Assaini neighborhood. He and some friends have set up a small gym. The young men build the equipment themselves. Dojiga started ringing when he was 12. Building has been training him for 2 years. Until recently, building was still in the ring himself. Now he's training new talent. I'm young and I live in a neighborhood in Dakar where there are many ringers. All my friends ring. That's how I started, and I get a lot of support. That's why I believe I'll become champion. It won't be easy. You never know what will happen in a competition. Hard training gives you strength, and strength gives you courage. To train for a big competition, the ringers drive to the city's edge. The dunes are the best place to work on your fighting technique, as the competition fight will take place on sandy ground. Dojiga is almost 2 meters tall, which means he has a long reach, an advantage. His 87 kilos put him in the heavyweight category. Yes, he's in good shape, but he also needs rest phases to stay on form. Now he's almost training too much and showing fatigue. I'm going to sleep now. Then there's the competition. Anything could happen, but I hope to win. Ringing is our culture. It's very old. What football is to Brazil, ringing is to Senegal. That's the way it is. The next evening, things get serious for Dojiga. Not far from the arena, helpers are covering him in oil. The opponents are not allowed to see the fight preparations. Amulets are supposed to make Dojiga invincible. He has to win here. If he's not in a position to win these fights, he can't improve. To go further, he has to win here. Every opponent demands a new tactic. Some are heavier than him. He has to be prepared for that. Others have his build, and others are small and agile. Opponents are different, and Dojiga has to adapt to their fighting style. Like all audience events in Dakar, the fight starts late in the evening. Professional ringing is broadcast live on Senegalese TV. Prize money can be up to $240,000. Dojiga is warmed up. For the next fight, he'll be in the ring. There are no rounds. The first to hit the ground loses. Some fights only last seconds. The trainer is satisfied. De Giga has got through to the next round. The fighting continues until late into the night. It's 20 minutes by boat from Dakar to the island of Goree. Richard Mbengue was on the mainland to do some shopping. He lives on Goree. From the 15th century, the island was a trading hub and also a base for sending slaves to the plantations in the New World. First the Portuguese and the Dutch, then the French ruled the island, which only lost its importance through the expansion of the port of Dakar. Richard is one of the 1,000 inhabitants on the island. Today, Goree is a World Heritage Site, and that pulls in the tourists. But early in the morning, the locals are just among themselves. Richard takes care of the gardens on the island. As well as a small park that dates back to the French nature researcher Michel Adanson. In the mid-18th century, Adanson described the nature and the peoples of Senegal. He laid the foundations for the first botanical garden in West Africa in Goree. There is a tree we call Goree. The French say baobab, and the Latin name is Adansonia digitata. It's named after Michel Adanson, and I feel like the next Michel Adanson. I'm continuing his mission on Goree. At the beginning, it was hard, as Adanson's work had been forgotten and the garden desolate. Richard sees the baobab as a symbol for his efforts in the garden. The monkey bread tree preserves itself by only bearing leaves shortly before the wet season. You can use every part of the baobab. The fruit helps against diarrhea. We cook the leaves with barley to soften it. That's how you do it in the countryside and in the city. The leaves also help against fatigue. We weave ropes from the bark that we use to tie up our cattle. Because Adanson planted the trees here, I want them to be here forever. I raise saplings, and sometimes people come and want one for their garden. In Senegal, we believe that the baobab protects from all evil. Richard will never become rich as an island gardener. If he didn't tend to some private gardens, he wouldn't be able to support his family. It's not easy, but I'll do anything to ensure Goree is completely green, so that everyone can take pleasure in it. That's my mission, and I must carry it through. After the last ferry has set off for Dakar, peace returns to Goree. Richard has succeeded in inspiring 2 boys from the island to take up gardening. When he can no longer care for the Adanson Park, they will continue his work. Night has fallen in the square by the abandoned railway station in Dakar. Mamita and Abba have come to hear their idol, one of Senegal's most famous rappers. His texts are political, his music is rough. Matador says what many young Senegalese are thinking. He raps about the relationship with France and Europe, unemployment, drugs, and violence in the slums. Matador himself comes from the suburbs of Dakar, from Charo. His performances often take him abroad, but he always comes back. Matador is highly respected in his neighborhood. Together with friends, he has founded an organization to get young people off the streets. Charo is a really poor area. There's a lot of young people and there's no infrastructure for them. They're offered nothing apart from drugs and violence. We rap to make it clear to the state that its politics are bad and do nothing for its young people. And to show the young people that their future is here, in Senegal, and not in Europe or the USA. We have to take care of ourselves and build a country ourselves. It's our place, and that makes it our fight.
I am lucky to be able to work with Matador. He helps me with text and arrangements. I want to go further and become a great artist, be known in Senegal and internationally.
Abba has made some final changes to the text. Every year, he arranges for 2 young rappers to participate in a new talent festival in Europe. This year, he's chosen Abba and Mamita. Matador works with the young musicians in a small studio. Mamita is 18 years old. Although she's been rapping for a while, this is the first time she's being recorded. And the first time she's hearing herself. It's a lot of work. We record them and then they hear themselves. And even if I don't correct them, they say themselves, that's no good. They know what's not quite right and self-criticize, and that's good. Then we work over it together, go over the text again, and at some stage it fits. It's important for Matador that the kids in the neighborhood realize they have opportunities and should take them. Like Mamita, who will soon be traveling to Stockholm.
I was chosen out of many boys and girls. I know what is ahead and will work hard for success. I was chosen, and that is a big chance for me. It's no coincidence.
Now we'll start with the arrangements. It's the first piece they're doing, and it has potential. We'll have to polish it, but the next time it will be right.
Sometimes they cry.
Siaka Traoré does a lot of walking. Siaka is a photographer and is working on a project about the Dakar dance scene. It will be a series about street dancers. Okay, Chris, more to the middle. No, yes, that's good. And again? It was a conscious decision to work with flashlight for this project. His subjects look as though they're frozen in the moment of his photos. I love all things graphic, the visual, sketches, paintings. So for me, it's very natural that I ended up doing photography. Photography is hard. There's not many photographers here. You have to make the effort. It's not impossible to be successful and live from it, but you have to work hard for it. The street dance and hip-hop scene may be small in Dakar, but it is almost no different from the youth culture in cities like Paris or LA. Most of the young people I know here don't have much and still make something of it. That's what motivates me to continue with the photography.
The challenges of daily life force me to try something new and develop new concepts. If that's how you define modernity, then I think yes, this is a modern city. Different nationalities, cultures and mentalities come together here. For me, Dakar is alive. You just have to explore the areas where life is playing out. Yes, in that respect, Dakar is a modern city.
En ce sens-là, je dirais que c'est une ville moderne.
Siaka works on his pictures at home. His studio is the street.
La photographie que je fais, je me limite pas à la danse ou au truc.
I don't limit my photography to dance.
La vie active.
What interests me is life, the everyday goings-on in Dakar. Street artists, or seeing someone ride by on their horse, or the many derelict cars on the side of the road, or the people pulling their carts alongside the motorway and don't give a damn about the traffic. Dakar has many faces, and that's a great inspiration.
Tous ces côtés de la ville de Dakar, ça inspire beaucoup. Ça inspire beaucoup.
Every 2 years, the art community meets in the Senegalese capital for Dakar Art, the Biennale for contemporary African art. In the off area, Siaka is exhibiting his dance photographs. The unfinished building is the gallery. Many people who look at my photos ask me where they were taken, whether it was in the USA. They don't recognize Dakar. That people think it's America shows that Dakar is with the times. Dakar doesn't need to envy any other city. Shadrach Cedric Abdoulaye is going around the Liberté 6 quarter. His flyers are promoting a small event in the neighborhood. The bicycle is coming too. A few tools, wires and plugs. With simple tools, Cedric and his friends especially want to help poorer people in the country. And the bicycle plays a central role. The project grew out of the goal to improve the electricity access in the rural areas. A team introduces the project in the countryside in Senegal, and another team does this in Dakar.
Mais également, il y a une autre équipe qui est basée à Dakar qui fait également le même projet.
The recruiting is done with a bicycle and its 2 wheels. Some of the rural areas don't have electricity yet. There's no TVs, and we're bringing modern progress from the city into the country and sending our bicycle cinemas. But also here in Dakar, we want to show people how they can generate their own power. And as there's hardly any cinemas, we host our own small open-air events. Ibrahima Gion is the project technician and has a solution for everything. We built the motor almost entirely out of parts we found in the road. We only bought individual parts. It's very easy to build. And with a little box like this, you can get 5 to 6 bulbs glowing. The team is setting up its equipment in a square in the neighborhood. The bicycle is generating the power for the projector. We just have to get the projector going, and in 5 minutes we'll show the first film. An old Senegalese feature film is being shown. To make sure it plays, everyone must do their part. Senegal had a decades-old cinema tradition, but TV has made the movie theatre obsolete. This makes these screenings, no matter how small the screen, very popular for film enthusiasts and, of course, children who think the setup is at least as exciting as the film itself. Even if it does not have the luminescent glow of other metropolises, Dakar is a city that never sleeps. Especially in the suburbs, the shops and restaurants close late. Over an open flame, sheep's meat is grilled well into the night. People are on the move at all times of the night, talking over a glass of tea, and later, around 1 or 2, we dress up and go out. Then life plays out in the clubs, where people dance to mbalakh. Mbalakh combines Senegalese rhythm with music styles like blues or funk. Pape Diouf is one of the most popular mbalakh singers in Dakar. The concert starts just before 3 in the morning. When it's over, the sun will rise once again over Dakar, the most cosmopolitan city in West Africa.